Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I want to give you a 3-month update on the twins and how they're doing, as well as a postpartum update on myself now that my pregnancy is done, obviously, kind of reflecting back on everything that has taken place and how we all are doing. And sorry, I keep looking to the sides here because they're both in their, what are they called? Rockin' plays. They're napping right now, so hopefully they'll nap throughout the video, but they might wake up here in a little bit, so you'll hear them like cooing and stuff like that. But let me just try to get through this video pretty quick before they wake up. So if you're new to my channel, I was pregnant with identical twin boys. They were Mo-Di twins. That stands for monochorionic and diamniotic, which means basically that they were identical twins that shared a placenta. And because of that, the pregnancy was considered high risk, but thankfully I had a very easy pregnancy. I had an easy pregnancy with my first son as well. And so with the twins, it was very easy. I didn't have any complications. I handled the pregnancy very well, thankfully. Towards the end though, I did start to experience some high blood pressure and some dizzy spells. I think my body might have just kind of hit a wall towards the very end. It was like, okay, we're done. Because I had to go in about 5 days early and have them via C-section. With my first pregnancy, I had a natural delivery, well, with an epidural, but because of the high risk with the twins, my doctor's office only did C-sections, which was fine. My experience with the C-section was, it was fine. As far as like that experience, it was, I guess, as pleasant as it could have been. My doctor is amazing, so she just made the entire process incredible. She is just so awesome. The staff during the procedure were super awesome. They were very upbeat, very chatty. They let me pick music to play in the background, which I picked the Backstreet Boys because they're amazing. So it was just a very positive environment. So that was fine. I did have a little bit of issue during the recovery from the C-section because during my time in the hospital, I had the nurses were like not super duper on top of bringing me my medicine on time, and so the medicine would wear off from, like, I had taken it 6 hours earlier, so that medicine had worn off, and by the time the nurses got around to bringing me my next round of medicine, they were like sometimes 30 to 45 minutes late. So by the time I got it, my pain had spiked because my medicine had completely worn off. So the recovery was a little bit more challenging for me while I was in the hospital. But once I got home, I was able to take my medicine on time, even a few minutes early. So I was definitely able to stay on top of it. And I was able to kind of speed up the recovery that way. But while I was in the hospital, honestly, it was awful. I could not, I would only get relief for a few hours, and then it would start to wear off, and I was like blowing up their phones like, hi, it's 6 o'clock, like, where's my medicine? And they'd be like, oh, we're on our way, and it'd be like 6:45 before they showed up. And honestly, it was awful. Definitely wasn't a fan of that, and I'm not one to complain on people whatsoever, but I did have to say something whenever we were checking out when they asked how the experience was. And I said, honestly, it was great, and these 3 nurses were amazing. I said, but I was having some issues with my medicine and staying on top of it, and so it was just, that was my only complaint. So they did have to spend a few days in the NICU because when they first came out, they had some issue with their breathing, but that regulated pretty quick. So Jackson only had to stay in the NICU for about 5 days, and then Deacon had to stay for a few additional days because he wasn't finishing his bottles the way the doctor wanted him to, but he eventually got that down and was finishing off his bottles. They had like some kind of he had to finish so many bottles within like a 24-hour period. So it took him a few days to kind of get that down. But whenever he came home, he actually came home on a Friday, which we live in Houston and they were born in August. So the day he came home was the day that Hurricane Harvey hit. Thankfully, we didn't flood. We didn't have any issues with that, but our entire city was totally underwater. Our entire area that we were in flooded. There's neighborhoods like right next door to us that flooded, and thankfully we didn't, but it was definitely a wild experience to be at home with brand new preemie twins and me recovering from a C-section. But thankfully, again, we didn't flood, we didn't lose power. We were able to just kind of be at home, hunker down with them, And that was just crazy, but thankfully we didn't have any issues with that. As far as how they're doing developmentally, so far they are like right on track where they're supposed to be. They have doubled their birth weight, so they're both over 11 pounds. They weigh the same exact weight. Last time we were at the doctor, it was like 10 pounds, 14 ounces, I think, each. I think Jackson might have been an ounce heavier, but they are basically the same exact weight. They're the same exact length. So as far as their appearance, they are like super identical. I feel awful, honestly. Like, I feel like I should be able to tell them apart at this point, but I truly cannot. As far as their appearance, they look exactly the same. I have noticed a little bit with their personalities that those are starting to be a little bit more defined. Like Deacon, for example, who's over here, he smiles a lot, he laughs a lot, he also wants to be held quite a bit. Jackson's a little bit more laid back. He definitely will smile, like he was smiling here in a little while ago, and he'll laugh as well, but he's more fine with like not being held. He'll just kind of lay there. He doesn't need to be cuddled as much as Deacon does. But it's just little things like that that we're starting to notice with their personality. As far as their sleeping, they sleep awesome. We feed them a pretty big bottle right before bed, so they go down about 9 to 9:30, and then they wake up about 3 o'clock for another feeding, and then they wake up again probably like 6:30. So technically only waking up once a night to feed, which is awesome because we're definitely getting more sleep, which I definitely have been needing lately. I was actually pretty terrified with the whole like having twins and them like being up all night and crying and stuff like that, but they have been just so great with their sleeping. They're pretty calm babies. They're not like super fussy. Again, Deacon wants to be held a little bit, but it's not like a... Oh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh. They're just talking so much. I just love it. I'll just sit here and listen to them just coo and talk, and he's laughing. Oh, they're so great. But anyway, no, they're sleeping great. Again, they're only waking up like once a night, which I'm totally fine with. So hopefully we'll continue to do that, and then they'll be sleeping through the night, which would be amazing. Something I've experienced here in the last few weeks that I honestly forgot was a thing, but it's postpartum hair loss. So I was reading on Google how typically around 3 months after you have a baby, you start to shed your hair. And like I said, I kind of forgot about it with Connor. Now that I remember, I did experience that a little bit, and with this pregnancy, again, I have totally had some hair loss. I was not expecting it. Again, I completely forgot about it, but about 2 weeks ago is when it started to like really, like I really started to shed. You can probably see where I have like a little bit of like a receding hairline. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. But it was kind of shocking, honestly, like how much hair it was, because it was just all of a sudden, and I was like, oh my gosh, if it keeps like falling out like this, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But thankfully it stopped, and it is like completely stopped actually, because again, I was really freaked out there for a little bit because it was like all at once. It was just really crazy, but thankfully again it stopped, and hopefully my hair will like start to kind of come back a little bit. I need to probably look into some kind of vitamins or something I can do to help make my hair like thicker and more wonderful. As far as a breastfeeding update, I did not do very well with breastfeeding. I think it was just a combination of a lot of different things. It was from just recovering from a C-section. Again, I didn't have the easiest recovery from that, especially when I was in the hospital. It definitely took a few days for my supply to come in. With them being in the NICU, especially in the first few days, it was kind of difficult to like get in there and like hold him a lot. And then whenever I did like try to get them to latch, I wasn't having a lot of luck with that. He's talking so much. And then I started to just kind of get into a routine of like pumping and feeding, and it just got to a point where it was just like, I it just wasn't happening for me. And I'm totally fine with that. Like, I understand that we all have a different experience with breastfeeding and feeding our babies and stuff. And with twins, that's even more challenging to try to breastfeed them. I gave it a go, but it just didn't work out for me. But I was able to pump and feed them breast milk for at least 6 weeks, which I'm happy about that. But then I started to develop mastitis. I got it once, and it was very mild, and I was able to kind of like massage and, you know, heat pads and all that stuff. And I thought it went away, but I don't think it went away entirely, because then it came back a week later, like in full force. I had to go get antibiotics for it. I was really, really sick, and it was just awful. And I think I also was doing too much. I didn't realize that apparently when you develop mastitis, it's because you are kind of doing too much, like physically. I was like out like trying to go walk, and I think I was just so happy to not be pregnant anymore, because obviously a twin pregnancy is a little hard on your body, and there's a lot of things I wasn't able to do. But it was like, okay, I'm recovered from it, and the C-section is starting to feel better, and I can like go do a lot of stuff. And I was probably just doing way too much, and that, I think that contributed to the mastitis. But anyway, after that, it was kind of like, okay, we need to just kind of move along to formula, because at that point also they were eating so much so frequently that I just couldn't keep up. So they're on formula now full time, which is totally fine. Again, I am like pro whatever works and whatever I can do to feed them, and just whatever works for us. So they're on formula. That's pretty much all I have as far as a 3-month update. Again, they're doing great. They are very easy babies. I'm so thankful that they're not super fussy. I'm able to get a lot of stuff done during the day. It's Jackson talking. And they are just such a blessing. I just can't even believe that I have twins. It's just so wild to me that, I don't know, that they're here, that they're healthy, that they're getting as big as they are. They're just great. So I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. And so far it's been a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of twin books that I read that kind of scared me, as far as like, after the twins are here, they're saying how, you know, it's going to be challenging because of all these things, and they're going to be a lot to handle, and this and that and everything. And they probably will be, like, once they are mobile and I'm like really having to keep up with them. But like right now, they just stay in their little, you know, areas, or we hold them, and they're not like super wiggly or fussy or anything. And they're just such sweet babies. So far it's been great. I'll update you guys in 6 months, or, you know, 9 months, or whenever they're eating and crawling and stuff, and we'll see how wonderful it is then. But so far they're great, and I couldn't be happier. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll also give you guys a little sneak peek of them, because they're awake right now, so that way you can see them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so this is Jackson. Hi, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then here is Deacon. Hey, buddy. Deacon Deeks. Deacon. Oh my goodness, so cute. Okay. So, thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.